It says we're live.
It lies.
Yeah.
Hey, Ian,
Damn.
what's the,
Screen
most,
just jumped.
what's the most booming business in Ireland? Irish used car sales.
Oh, bad, Jonathan. Bad.
The salesman will ensure you get the most bang for your
Your
buck.
buck? No kidding. 35 pounds of ammonium nitrate free
Yeah.
with every Buick.
Yeah.
Enough to cover the neighborhood.
We've got 4 watchers already.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Good afternoon. Yeah, it's slow. Like me, old and slow, Cedar. Anyway, I want to start today with something. Yeah. Hey, RK. That's a very good possibility, and I will get to that in a minute because I've got a comment on that too.
Lots of good possibilities.
25,000 National Guard troops so they would have an audience for the inauguration.
37,000.
No, 25. They
Sure?
revised it down.
They must have sent 12,000 home.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain at this point that means that it's more people showing up for Biden at his inauguration than showed up at any of his public events
Oh, yeah.
in the last 17 months.
Yeah. Loved ammonium nitrate and urea. Julian, stop it. To get back to what I was going to start with, God, there's nothing like losing control 5 seconds in.
You're welcome.
Today is Martin Luther King's Day. And, I did some digging around this morning and went back and reread the I Have a Dream speech.
It's a really good speech.
And it
It
was,
is. Nobody listens to it anymore, but
nobody listens to it, but it was off the cuff. It was a total departure from what his planned speech was.
really.
And just wanted to mention a couple things. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners, will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And then this morning on TV, I saw Donna Brazile get up there and proclaim that it was great that a black woman was going to be taking the oath of vice president. She said this right after she mentioned King's dream of living in a world where people would not be judged by the color of their skin. Talk about disconnected.
Hypocrisy is the word we're looking for.
And hypocrisy and
And
a few
blind.
other things.
And blind.
Yeah. Anyway, had to get that off my chest.
I put up a blog post yesterday.
Yay, finally.
Bite me. Put up a blog post. If you've got anybody planning on going to DC or is headed there, tell them to come back.
Yeah.
There is nothing that anybody can do in DC that's going to be a win for anything.
No.
There are 10,000 ways to screw everything up and no ways to come out on top.
Yeah.
If you got folks up there, tell them to come back.
I think about,
If you're thinking heading there, don't.
Yeah.
Don't even turn on the TV tomorrow. No,
Sure,
Wednesday.
so-
Wednesday.
During the inauguration, turn off the TV.
Yeah.
Nielsen ratings are a thing. Send a clear and
Ambiguous
message. When the Nielsen ratings say this is during the era of COVID, the least viewed inauguration since Nielsen ratings started,
Yeah.
that people will start listening.
Yep. Yeah, as Jesse says, without double standards, they wouldn't have any. That's true.
No kidding.
And yeah, RK, I agree. Stay away from the state capitals.
Yeah, and state capitals too.
The supposed big show didn't come to pass. There were maybe 100 people that showed up Sunday at Austin, and they protested, walked around for a couple hours, and left. Very peaceful. There were a number of people that were talking with law enforcement who were there.
Wait.
Nothing got out of hand.
A protest in Austin that didn't involve DPS troopers kicking somebody's ass?
No,
Who
because
was it that showed up for this? The peaceful, loving folks known as Antifa?
no, these were people carrying guns, so they were very nice. And the Antifa was smart enough not to show up in counter protests.
Damn it.
But like I pointed out, John
Yeah.
Farnham, who I respect greatly, the OG firearms instructor. John Farnham is not only firearm, he teaches you how to fight.
Yeah.
And he said, don't go stupid places with stupid people and do stupid things.
Yeah.
Going to the nation's capital or state capital Wednesday is all free.
Yeah.
Those are stupid places to go. There's going to be stupid people there.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to be doing stupid things, including the officials. There's 10,000 ways, 100,000 ways to go wrong and no ways it can go right,
Yeah.
folks. There's nothing. They're short of the gods themselves coming down and smiting people. There's no way the optics, they don't even need to be spun. The optics are going to be bad no matter what. Just
Exactly.
don't go, people.
Yeah. And John Van Stripe brings up an interesting point. Cuomo and some of the other Democratic governors are now canceling. They're not going to go because they're
That's
afraid of
okay.
what's going to happen.
Good.
The other thing, is 25,000 National Guard in D.C. A Democratic Congress critter came on the air this morning or on radio when I was driving in to get a poke in the eye with a sharp stick and said, I'm afraid of all the white National Guard because they're all white supremacists being in D.C. I'm not comfortable being there with all these white National Guardmen.
Good. Tear your ass.
Yeah. This is kabuki security theater to the max.
Well, I have
And I'll add
something.
in something else. The mayors of DC isn't complaining this time about National Guardsmen staying in hotels.
Because they're not staying in hotels in D.C. They're down in Virginia. They're up in Maryland. They have to be bussed in every day.
I would like to throw out.
Did anybody look at the cost of this bull?
I would like-
Seriously?
I would
Oh,
like,
she's not paying. The federal government has to pay.
I would like to throw out an olive branch to that particular Congress critter that is terrified about white National Guardsmen. Ghana, the country of Ghana is supporting a come home initiative. And Delta Airlines out of New York or DC will fly you to Ghana where you can, as they say, come home. Is that white nationalist of me?
Huh?
Is that white nationalist of me? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yep,
7 minutes. If she's that scared, Ghana will welcome her with open arms.
Oh, it's a he.
Oh, it's a he. If he's that scared, Ghana will welcome him with open arms.
She's a white guy.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Ghana will still welcome him with open arms.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
Hey,
Yeah.
John, I'm glad you made it.
We're surrounded by
By
idiots. Lord, I prayed for stupid enemies, but this is getting ridiculous.
Well, and a point that got brought up earlier, not only today, but other places. The last time there were this many military in D.C. was when the British were there.
They wear red coats.
They wore red coats and they set the White House on fire. Yeah,
1812, right?
1812, 1814 time frame. The strategy that Bowser et al. Up there are pulling is to say this is a threat. All these threats, we're hearing threats. But yet nobody talks about what the actual threat is because there isn't one.
Well, not
The
only
only
that,
thing they've done is this nebulous march on the Capitol, supposed to take place the 17th through the 20th, armed march on all state capitals, but nobody knows who's behind that piece of paper.
Nobody knows who's organizing it at all.
well, my question, just heading off into the wild blue yonder on this, when you have a Black Lives Matter protest or Antifa go full stupid, sorry about that, Jonathan,
No worries.
go full stupid, you have days of pundits explaining the root causes, and they'll go back 100 years or 200 years.
Oh yeah.
The root causes of why they're so upset, and there'll be all these explanations. This is why they'll go into 300-page dissertations on Fox News about this is why they're so upset. We need to understand.
Yeah.
When a whole bunch of Trump supporters go bat nuts, stupidly bat nuts, criminally bat nuts, but bat nuts, nobody gets on there to say this is why.
Yeah.
You know, sauce the goose being sauce the gander and all that.
Yeah.
If you want to get up there and write a dissertation about why Black Lives Matter are perfectly okay to burn Minneapolis to the ground, but you can't be arsed to give a 30-second explanation of why a bunch of Trump voters might be a little upset.
Well, and there still are a lot of questions as to who was actually leading the pack. And interestingly
They
enough,
arrested one of them.
Huh?
Arrested one of them. He's well,
Oh,
Black Lives Matter.
they released him.
yeah, he's
No
released
bail.
without bond.
Nope, released without bail.
Yep.
The federal judge who did that said, "Oh, he doesn't deserve to have to pay bail."
He's turning his life around.
So what about everybody else arrested at the same time? Did they get the same courtesy?
Nope.
Okay.
Yep.
Apparently, the only ones that have been released without bail are the ones that were Antifa.
Goodness.
Yeah, Joel brings up a good point. The color scheme of the posters, it's either the commies or the Phoebes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
that's a 50-50 chance. I mean,
these days it kind of looks like the same people.
yeah,
As an amateur historian or a lover of history, I know that on this particular podcast, I've mentioned this before. However, I feel it bears repeating that during World War II, when you had all these Nazi, socialist, and communist
Assholes.
clubs in the United States that were quite firm about various stuff that was quite honestly counter-American. They did a study of the 70s, and if the FBI hadn't been infiltrating them,
they would have gone broke.
they would have been broke in a month because the FBI were the FBI undercover agents were the only ones paying dues.
Yeah,
Yep.
Starting to wonder if we're not seeing.
fifth column again. Yeah,
Well, I mean, heck, without the FBI having membership in it and paying dues for it, the paramilitary arm of the Democrat Party, known as the Ku Klux Klan, would have ceased to exist.
yeah. Well, and RK brings up a good point. How can this possibly be organized on social media that keeps dumping all non-liberals?
Fine point.
Yeah. Sounds like the left is making all these plans so they can destroy more stuff, blame it on us, which they're already doing.
I wonder how the hell anybody ever organized anything like this prior to social media.
Without getting caught.
It was really easy in those
know.
days.
I know. Even easier now because nobody looks for people whispering in coffee shops.
Yep.
Which have sprouted up everywhere like fungus.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't mind a good coffee shop, but there are so many coffee shops that look at Starbucks and their flamethrower coffee and decide that's good coffee. It's not.
No.
Folks.
I will not darken the Starbucks doorstep. Not only is the coffee for shit, the attitude of the baristas in there
They make
is even worse.
They make there was one really sweet one at the one here in Ichita Falls, really sweet barista. I liked her. But they make a limited edition Komodo dragon. They roast it about once a year, and it gets sold out with quickness. It's a dark Sumatran dark, which is they don't flamethrower it into submission. It's not burnt. It's actually decently roasted, and I like it. It used to be my favorite dark coffee, but Black Rifle Coffee's Blackbeard Delights much better than the Komodo Dragon. So I've stopped doing anything with Starbucks. I used to get a bag of that whenever they sold it, but not anymore.
RK, Black Rifle is much better coffee, and it's cheaper than Starbucks.
Cheaper, and they support veterans and their causes.
Yes.
Yep.
I buy a lot of stuff that's decent to fairly good, just because veterans run it, or I support veterans causes. I have a weakness for that particular.
Yeah. Louise, I'm not gonna, I've never eaten any of the food out of Starbucks and don't plan on it. Granted, if you do that at the airports, that's fine. Do what you got to do.
They used to get free coffee there. So
Yeah, but if I have my druthers, I'll go to one of the bagel places before I go to Starbucks
well,
because it's better coffee, it's cheaper,
That was
and
that
you
was
can get
true.
a decent bagel.
That was true at MCAS County LA when
Yeah.
I was there. We had a decent bagel shop on one side of the base, and you could go there and get salmon lox on any bagel of your choice, and they did a fantastic job. But the second they brought in the Starbucks, they had a reason to eject the current owners and operators of the bagel shop, and what it got replaced with was absolute ass. It sucked so hard.
Oh yeah,
we've got two. Go to local coffee shops. We've got two here in town.
Yeah.
Well, we got more, but
we
Frank,
got two good ones.
Frank and Joe's
Yeah.
Gets their coffee off of a pickup truck that comes up every morning from Oak Cliff, and it's the coffee's roasted in the back of a pastel house in Oak Cliff, and it's really good coffee. And then there's
I
a
don't think getting roasted in Oak Cliff, it's not illegal.
Bow chicka bow chicka. Never mind.
And
then
then
there's-
he's got the rest of those covered.
Hook and Ladder is run by a couple of retired firemen.
Yeah.
And they'll sit there and roast it for you in their fire engine red roasting machine
Yeah.
right in front of your eyes. Both of those are, I like coffee. I drink coffee like nobody's business. But support your local guys. They make better
Yeah.
coffee.
Hey, Sanford, welcome. A bagel, a schmear, and a nice cuppa. Yeah, well, you can have the tea. I'm going to keep with the coffee, RK.
I drink coffee before noon and tea after.
I drink coffee to go to bed at night.
No.
Sorry.
Black Rifle Coffee, for God's sake, they need to make a Law Dog blend that's half chicory, half medium roast coffee.
That would be my blend, not yours.
I love chicory coffee. That's it. That's what my father drank. He drank the yellow can. What's the yellow can?
Cafe de Monde.
He would ship boxes of that, crates of that stuff to wherever we were going to. We were going to be next.
Yep.
And he would drink chicory coffee. That was what he drank.
Yep.
And I cut my teeth on a quarter cup of Cafe Du Monde and 3/4 milk
Yeah.
and 2 heaping spoonfuls of sugar when I was 6.
Yeah,
I got-
because if he'd have given you the full strength,
Yeah.
you would have been bing, bing, bing,
I
bing,
sat at
bing,
the
bing.
table with my father and felt like an adult at 6 years
Yeah.
old because I got my coffee cup too.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that's what I grew up drinking.
And then we had 13 squillion yellow coffee cans with mixed screws and nuts in them.
Of course, that's where the spare parts locker
As
is.
soon as he emptied one, he sent it over to the office, and people, because back then coffee cans they weren't the plastic things we have now.
Yeah,
They were
they're
actually-
metal.
They were actually metal.
There's plastic coffee cans now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, chicory, Sanford chicory is a ground up root.
yeah, roasted, ground up.
Yeah.
Well, roasted. Let's face it, they burn the crap out of it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
grind it up. It's Cajun
Uh,
coffee.
Cedar, if you want to try chicory, go either Cafe Du Monde or Morning Call or
Community chest.
huh?
Community chest.
Community Community Club.
Community club. Cafe Du Monde's better.
Yeah, Cafe Du Monde is probably the best of the bunch.
There's actually a cafe in New Orleans,
It's Cafe Du Monde.
Cafe Du Monde, where they serve that coffee is the one they serve along with beignets.
Yep.
The beignets are fantastic.
Yep.
Speaking of beignets in New Orleans, I do kind of feel sorry for Drew Brees.
Who the hell is Drew Brees?
The
Oh, is that was the sports egg guy the other night?
Yeah.
Okay.
quarterback for the New Orleans Saints who just retired this year. And it's funny growing up and seeing all your sports heroes have their career and then get out of the sport. It's kind of weird to watch it all happen. The first one for me was Jeff Gordon. That was the racer that was my introduction to NASCAR. And I watched all of his races up until I moved out of my parents' house the first time in 2006. And 9 years later, he left racing. I watched Drew Brees on the field. Now he's 43 and finally retiring from football. It's kind of weird to see.
Who's the guy with the right hook in baseball? Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan, right hook Ryan.
Yeah. Fastball.
When you wish to teach a young man a lesson on manners.
Yeah. 100+ mile an hour fastball too.
Also, a hell of a shovel hook when he's got somebody in the headlock.
Yeah. No, RK, none of those are pure chicory. They're 50% chicory.
Pure chicory coffee's not good.
No, it's
It's
nasty.
not good.
I have drank pure chicory. It is
It's
nasty.
The cutting your coffee with chicory is a time-honored tradition in Louisiana mostly.
Yeah.
And it can be an acquired taste. Rita can't stand chicory coffee.
Yeah.
I friggin' love chicory coffee.
So the next time I make beignets for group dinner dessert, I should include some Cafe Du Monde coffee.
I have that. That's what I drink
That's
every day.
That's why
around
he
here.
drinks. That come
Oh, I didn't know that.
I come over to pour because it's just that good.
Yeah. And John says Tom Petty swore by the Maxwell House, but only when made in the commercial coffee makers they use in diners.
I swear at Maxwell House.
Yeah, no kidding.
I have drunk it because I was desperate.
Ah,
And let's face it, Folgers, Maxwell House, the big packs that you just drop in the commercial and brew 24 cups of coffee. You'll see that in a lot of police stations.
Yeah.
A lot of law enforcement agencies get that stuff by the pound.
At
And
least y'all have the good sense not to go spend $10,000 on a coffee machine like what you see advertised in Williams and Sonoma. That stainless steel monstrosity with too many settings and enough plate in it to freaking cover a battleship.
you do not put that in a building run by cops
no.
because they will ook at it.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't give them coffee after they ook a couple of times, they'll hit it with a chair.
Well, you've never had bad coffee until you've been on board ship.
Oh, that's a bad coffee.
Well, on board ship, on the carriers, it used to be made with 300 psi bleed steam out of the 1200 psi plant.
That sounds like actually pretty good coffee.
Except it had been through everything else before it got to the coffee pot.
Oh, you had to clean the grease off the top.
Yeah. And I did see one time an athletic sock being used to hold the coffee grounds that went in the pot.
Just once.
Once that I saw. Now on a small boy being cruiser destroyer frigate, the freshwater tanks and the JP5 tanks for the helicopters are next to each other.
Mhm.
Steel is porous.
Mhm.
So every cup of coffee you get on a small boy has a nice little skein of oil on it and the fresh aroma of JP5.
To energize you in the morning.
Yeah.
Keeps you vigorous.
I saw the last couple of months I was at my last job. I know for a fact that the night shift raided the supply of emergency replacement things
Yeah.
for a tube sock to throw some coffee in because it's midnight shift and
Yeah.
they need coffee.
Yep.
When I was first field op in the Fleet Marine Corps, we had coffee, instant coffee in our MREs.
Yeah.
And one of my seniors took the time to demonstrate to us that you could, in fact, throw a wad of that in your cheek and use it just the same way you would chewing tobacco in the field. And some of them actually took the time to bring like a bag of grounds out into the field with them and they just put that in.
Cheek it, hell.
Yeah.
There are a couple of times our 94 of a 96 RTEP, 96 hour RTEP, I took the entire tube and chased it with a canteen of water.
Oh yeah.
I mean, powdered all down the hatch, followed by the water. Let's get this done.
Yeah. I know a number of Marine snipers that have done that same thing, going through training and going on live ops. And also some SEAL snipers that have done that.
I wouldn't do it if I was behind a rifle because I get the twitches. But
And Bob says, yeah, I used to chew MRE coffee like dip to stay awake.
Yep.
I took the entire tube, shotgunned it, followed it with a couple of swigs of water, and let's get this done.
Yeah. Well, that was the nice thing about P3s is we had a coffee. Well, it was a liquid holder that could be heated.
Mhm.
but it only held like a gallon.
Well, that's not enough.
No. So we would all go buy 50 cup percolators and keep them in our crew mess for our crew chow boxes.
Mhm.
And we would try to best to get good coffee. Sometimes it was Folgers, sometimes we got stuck with Mackwood House. Every once in a while we'd hit the gold and the commissary would have community club.
Mhm.
But we would go through 100 cups of coffee in a 12-hour mission. Well, 12 people.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
Well,
Not you got
during our
anything
temps,
else to do.
especially after hour 72, the cooks always had a row of silver bullets up wherever the mess truck was.
Yeah.
And you go by and grab a, but E5, E6, I didn't have time.
Yeah.
So we shotgun the coffee and let's move.
Chocolate covered espresso beans.
I love those things.
Yeah,
I should not ever have them, but I love those things.
Well, it's actually
see, John's ex-Air Force. Air Force got stuff like that.
Ugh.
We never saw
Well,
that.
when I was
Well-
in a solid suit, I never saw it. I've seen it here,
Yeah.
and I should not ever have an espresso.
Johnny had to bring in something for 100th Day at school. They're celebrating the 100th day of school. So what did I send to my son's kindergarten class? Chocolate covered espresso beans, 100 of them.
Oh,
Better Dixie sticks, but not much.
yeah,
Oh, it was great. His teacher had words for me about that one.
I am sure she did. I am sure she did.
No, it's the. I'll say one good thing about the Pacific Northwest. They have introduced the rest of the United States to good coffee.
Yeah, Pete's, Seattle's best.
Well, I mean, let's face it. If it hadn't been for them, Black Rifle would never have.
Yeah,
What's funny is Black Rifle was roasted in Salt Lake City.
Yeah,
Would never have expected that one.
driving from Salt Lake City Airport to Provo, I always got to roll down the window and just
yeah,
at certain places.
yeah. What's bad though is you go overseas, and especially to Asia and South Pacific, and they don't have coffee. They have instant coffee.
Oh, you got to try it in North Africa and Turkey. They've got coffee, but there's so much spice in it.
Yeah,
It's not coffee anymore.
well, that's true.
I mean, and I'm a child of Africa. I love evaporated milk in my the not sweet and condensed, but the liquid evaporated milk. That's
Yeah.
in my coffee tea. It's fantastic. It's richer than half and half. It's really good. But I swear to God, I've had more than one coffee. Yeah, air quotes around coffee that was 3/4 evaporated milk, a couple of tablespoons of coffee, and then cardamom and cinnamon until your eyes floated.
Yeah. Vietnam is now one of the largest coffee exporters. That's true. Because they had to do something with all the stuff that we left behind.
They grow coffee in Vietnam?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
semi-tropical.
I've never seen Vietnam on any of the bags of coffee I get.
No,
I have.
you won't.
I've seen it here and there.
Yeah.
I've seen Africa, Sumatra, and Central and South America. I've never
Yeah.
seen Vietnam.
Well, it's not like they can export their daughters.
Yeah, RK says Turkish tea. Have a little tea with your sugar.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And they pour it from God's own height too.
Yeah.
Because they want it to bubble.
Yeah, Moroccan coffee is good. It's
Moroccan coffee is excellent.
Yeah.
However, it's still really heavily spiced.
yeah, it is.
Is Cuban coffee heavily spiced or just
No,
stronger than
it's
hell?
strong. It's stronger than Satan's waistcoat.
Yeah, Cuban coffee is basically double espresso.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'd love to know how I could get my hands on some of that at 6 a.m. So that the next time I have to show up at work and make a pot for my fellow drivers and such, just be like, here, I made coffee and see who takes a shot at it.
well,
first.
just make regular espresso. Get espresso.
No.
Espresso.
Black Rifle coffee, you need the CAF. CAF. They
Mm.
sell a blend called CAF.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
CAF stands for caffeinated as fuck. And they're
Yeah.
not kidding.
Yeah.
I had a
That'll have people screwing themselves into the overhead.
I had a sergeant who coffee was his lifeblood, and I brought him some calf, and he had his big giant travel mug of calf, and that boy vibrated out of the control room at least twice.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun.
Oh,
I wonder if I could take a thing of calf and just put it in on top of what's supposed to be the regular blend at
Oh, it
work,
tastes fantastic. It's
and,
Yeah.
and just leave it there and just see how long it takes people to figure out.
they'll start figuring
When
out.
they start vibrating out of
They'll
the
figure
room.
out when they can smell the sound of the color 9.
Oh, good.
Kavala, yeah, RK Kavala is good.
Hard to find.
Yeah.
What's Kavala?
It's a brand of coffee. It's European. I forget.
German.
German?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I used to have an inn where I could get that, especially on deployment. His friend was Group 9 up in Germany, and he managed to get our shipping address, and we were getting the coffee from him.
Well, everybody's heard the term love in a canoe coffee, right?
Yeah,
No.
Love in a canoe. Okay, this is used two ways. The way when I'm referring to love in a canoe coffee, there were ads for this instant coffee back in the 70s or early
Yeah.
80s. I forget who made it, but there was a little square rectangular tins, and it was coffee. Well, actually, it was hot chocolate with some coffee added, or vanilla powder with some coffee. It was instant coffee, and
Yeah.
you scoop this, and it was for ladies. And the ads always involved this couple in a canoe or a rowboat, and oh, we forgot the coffee. Here, dear, we have coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, John, and it's love in a canoe coffee. However, I've discovered, according to the local sheriff's office, love in a canoe coffee means fucking close to water.
yeah,
Noted.
yeah. In other words, weak.
Yep,
Kind of like beer in that regard.
Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma beer.
Oh, RK just put up, says, Epic News reports 2,000 National Guard troops deputized as U.S. Marshals.
Yay.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Stay away from DC, folks.
Yeah.
Let them be clown themselves.
Yep.
They're
Oh,
going
they're
to.
going to.
Ladies and gentlemen,
They will manufacture a crisis if they have to, just to have something to do.
But they're not good at it.
well, there's that. I mean,
If we don't give them the opportunity, they won't.
we watched 8 years of Democrats under Obama acting like they still had some form of class or decency, faking the funk.
Oh, that went out the window.
That went out the window towards the end. We've got now ahead of us 4 years of Keemer Blue absolutely screwing up by the numbers, be clowning themselves.
Yay.
Yeah.
And so long as we keep our collective cool and don't lose our damn minds,
If-
I'm not real worried
If
about taking back things.
Yeah.
If we take the anger that we're feeling now, and I'm as angry as anybody else, take the anger we're feeling now and channel it towards the 2020 midterm elections, which are going to be brutal anyway, because they always are.
2022 is going to be interesting.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yep.
I say that metaphorically. We're not shooting anybody in 2022. However,
Yeah.
the party out of power always hammers the party in power at the midterms. And if we can go, because we're crap at long term.
Yeah.
The right side of the house is crap at long term planning.
Yes.
If we can channel our anger for 2 years into making sure that we have representatives who actually, I don't know, represent us and get them tuned up and with a war chest and everything for 2022, the Democrats are going to be crying the day after the election.
Sanford, it does matter because, maybe they can futz with a national election, but 2022 is a local election.
Okay.
And
yes,
all politics are local.
that's the thing of, and this is starting to make me twitch. Everybody says it doesn't matter anymore. Of course it matters.
Yeah.
Was there fraud? Probably. I haven't, I'm a cop. Yes, there was probably fraud in 3 tightly contested districts, 4
States.
districts, precincts.
Yeah.
That leaves 99.997 of the rest of the country. There were 4 precincts where things got squiffy.
Yep.
4 precincts are not the country.
Yep.
But those 4 precincts changed the entire election.
Exactly. They changed the election on the presidential side. What everybody misses,
They did the same thing in Georgia. DeKalb County
right?
stopped counting at 44%.
Again, that's
And so they
But-
could figure out how many votes they needed.
but your House of Representatives. If we win back the House of Representatives, then we can. What people don't understand is during this year's election, the Democrats in the House got spanked.
Yep.
They didn't win a single.
See, in fact, they
See,
lost seats.
They lost either 10 or 12 seats.
Yep.
They got spanked. Let's
But-
do it again.
They're going to change the laws to
Yeah.
make it at a federal level where voting by mail is completely legal.
Not in Texas, they won't.
They're going to do it at a federal level.
Well, that's going to be difficult because the feds in Texas, the federal courts just said they can't do it.
Oh, I know that. You know that. They're going to do it at the federal level.
Well, they're going to try, but
I don't have much faith in their efforts to put anything in. As long as the Senate's divided, they're kind of stuck.
Well, it's not divided. They've got the power. And Mittens is going to flop over and play good little rhino.
he's finally found his testicles.
No, he hadn't.
He's
No,
actually.
I don't expect he's actually going to make it to re-election and get re-elected. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. I don't expect he's going to get re-elected. There are quite a few people in Utah that are sick of this crap, especially with the last 4 years of his nonsense. I don't see him
I
sticking
thought you
around.
meant McConnell, not Romney. My bad.
No,
Yeah.
Romney's not going to make it in Utah.
Romney is.
When
right.
Utahns are referring to you as a carpetbagger,
I thought you meant McConnell. McConnell
No.
actually found his testicles. It's
Yeah.
been great.
yeah. And I mean, for crying out loud, this is a guy that sat there and told Nancy Pelosi, "Oh yeah, that impeachment you're trying to schedule, be nice if I use my emergency powers." Oh wait, we're not doing anything before January 19th.
Yeah.
Middle fingers to you.
Yeah, Chief brings up a good point talking about DC. Yeah, they may have authorized deadly force, but none of the National Guard guys have any magazines in their M4s.
Or ammunition.
Oh,
Well, and Mad Mike, Julie Frost, and a few others have shared articles regarding the magazine thing.
and the thing is I've seen some pictures of National Guard that have been deployed to Washington.
Yeah.
Some of those boys are a danger to the local buffets.
They look
yes.
like Burger King platoon.
Yeah.
I've seen more slender Michelin men.
I'm looking.
I got to compliment the one guy though, guy or girl, whoever it was.
Reading Ayn Rand?
Huh?
Reading Ayn Rand?
One reading Ayn Rand, and the other one that brought the penguin blanket.
Yes.
That was just that was so perfect.
The one that got me chuckling was the Latina female who was holding her M4 carbine, and she had the freaking optic underslung mounted.
Yeah, that you know why?
Why?
Because when you put them in the racks, the 1970s racks don't have enough clearance for optics, so they switch the optics around to the bottom.
Yeah.
She just hadn't moved it yet.
They're still using 1970s racks?
It's
That's
the
all they've
military.
got.
It's the military.
Damn.
At the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers, the only gun racks they have are for the parade rifles. I've been down there. I've seen it. The ARs are stuffed over in a corner, leaning up against each other.
It's not like they're going to use them for
In
anything.
the
anytime soon.
the arms rooms, the locking racks are probably from the 70s.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
they yanked the. Used to you had to match optics back before Picatinny rails. We had to match. We had canvas bags with the scope bags. You'd have 5 or 6 slots for scopes, and we'd write on them the rifle serial number.
Because they were matched to the rifle.
Yeah.
Huh.
Now
See,
they just
when
slide
I
them
was
on the
in-
top and put them on the bottom.
When I was in the Guard, we had proper racks for holding M4s with an optic on it. That might be a state-by-state thing. I don't know. But I'm willing to defer to the more experienced judgment on this.
I'm not. I know about National Guard. I'm talking about the regular Army down at Fort Hood. They're still using 1970
Yeah.
racks.
RK says,
It's
feeling
Fort,
nostalgic for bayonets.
Okay.
it's Fort Hood. They're lucky they can keep track of their people.
Apparently, they can't keep track
Yeah.
of people. Fort
Yes.
Hood has gone right down the tubes.
Yeah.
Speaking of going down the tubes, off to a different subject. I woke up this morning with my paratrooper hips aching.
Yeah.
Went in to work out, and today is my heavy squats day. and I was lifting heavy squats, and the last repetition of my last set, something went off like a 380, and my trainer went, "What the hell was that?" I said, "My left hip." Apparently, everyone in the gym heard my hip go.
Yeah, and Ian is complaining about my 21-year-old body says, "What's residual pain?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Background pain. My
Yeah.
54-year-old body's going, "Oh," so I took a leave when I got home, and now my hip's down to background pain.
Yeah.
And my 21-year-old self, way back in the back of my head's going, "What the hell's background pain?" Well,
Just wait till
Guess
you
what?
get old and you will, yeah. Johnny says I'm my own personal marimba band. Yeah.
yeah, no kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm used to my knees. I'm used to my knees popping and doing
Yeah.
squat. I'm not used to that left hip.
Well, me and my back.
The Carmen and the guy spotting me. I mean, when I finally got the weights rack, they were looking at each other like, "Should we send him to the hospital?"
Yeah. Yeah, well, between Peter and I, it's a question of who's got the worst back. I think his is worse only because he's got the titanium rods.
Only because he let a surgeon chop on it.
Yeah, which I am not planning on doing until if they ever in my lifetime authorize that friggin' replaceable disc that is
Knock-
injected.
Knock wood, my back's still pretty good.
Yeah.
I
Now, my
finally got
hips-
approved for physical therapy to go and start working on that again.
Yay.
The local VA clinic now has physical therapy section in it.
Cool. Now my hips, my left shoulder are
Yeah.
for different reasons. They took a X-ray of my left shoulder, and you can actually see on the ball
Yeah.
on the ball and socket, you can see the very regular imprints from meat tenderizer. It's actually on the socket. You still to this day you can still see it.
Yeah. Well, I've got, when I did pictures of my right one, when I separated it for the third time, they're going, "Oh, there are chunks in here."
Mhm.
Thank you very much. That's why it dislocates anytime I press down on it.
I made myself an officer sandwich because I got stupid at a domestic disturbance. Got in between. Well, I did two stupid things. One, I got in between the husband and wife,
Oh, bad move.
and two, I got in between the husband and wife in the kitchen.
Ow.
You never, ever attempt to arrest somebody in the kitchen.
Is this where you got beat with a rubber wand?
No, that was a different time.
Oh.
Because I didn't learn. But I was hooking up the husband, and the wife grabbed the meat tenderizer out of the
Drawer.
drawer,
Ow.
and she was a farm girl,
Oh.
and she laid it into my left shoulder. And when I had the big wreck in 2000, I broke it again in two places.
Yeah.
And my left shoulder's just not happy.
Well, mine's 7,000 plus hours getting my ass beat in a P3. Ouch.
Well, and
That, no hearing, the hearing loss, and all the other associated
and
problems.
I blade, so when I'm facing up on violent people, I used to, I still do, I guess, blade up so my left side's closer.
Yeah.
So my left shoulder was always intercepting incoming
Incoming fire.
whatever, fists, clubs, feet.
Yeah.
Always hit me on that left. My left shoulder hates life.
Yeah. The other thing, and speaking of down the tubes, the whole thing with $15 an hour.
Oh, for God's sake, again.
Yeah. Well, Biden's, among other things, Biden says that's going to be done in his first 100 days.
Only if Congress hands it to him.
Yeah. Now he'll EO it or something. But
He'd love to.
a friend of mine, Tom Knighton, did some digging. There are few people, very few people, less than 2.3% of every worker in the United States that actually only earns minimum wage. So it's 1.8 million out of 328 million. Most of them are 16 to 19 years old. So they're not living on their own. They're not supporting a family. They're living in mama's basement.
More than likely.
The other thing is 47% of businesses are small businesses. Well, probably that number's probably gone down now that so many businesses have gone out of business.
Failed because of COVID.
Yeah.
No, not because of COVID, because the government's overreaction
Yeah.
to COVID.
But The problem is that they are not rich enough to be able to pay every employee $15 an hour. All you have to do is look at what happened in Seattle when they went to the $15 an hour wage.
In San Fran.
And San Fran. How many small businesses, restaurants that had been there for years, some 50, 60 years, went out of business and closed because they couldn't pay people.
Yep.
They cut hours. They cut people back to minimum hours
And minimum staffing.
and minimum
And
staffing.
the terrible thing about minimum staffing is it looks good on paper.
Yeah.
But you always have somebody who can call in sick.
Yep.
Or have an accident.
It
or
doesn't
a
allow
flat
for any
tire.
slack in the system at
Nope.
all. I saw it when I worked at J.C. Penney. We were already minimum wage. Here
Yeah.
comes the ACA mandates. Now, 30 hours is full-time cutoff
Yeah.
for ACA benefits, which means that 30 hours, your corporate has to provide medical care.
Yeah. So
So
they
what-
cut 26, 28 hours.
They went further. The verbal order given to managers and scheduling was 10 hours or less per week.
Oh, God.
You try doing a couple weeks of that and see how well you can pay the bills.
Yeah.
Well,
Now they're talking about it, and $15 an hour is what management at my office makes after they've passed training and shown they have a competency for company policies
Yeah.
and procedures. I don't even make that much driving cars. And I'm
I-
kind of a linchpin on all.
I look at that. I look at it a different way. Ichapa County, Buck Scuffle County.
Yeah.
A first line jailer, after going through the jail academy and everything that, past jail academy, passing background check, and taking care of, having to take care of all the things that jailers have to. The frontline people are making 15 an hour.
Yeah.
That's what Ichapa pays
Yep.
line jailers. Now, if I go to Burger King
And make 15
and
bucks
make
an hour.
15 an hour and not get sued every 30 seconds, get feces flung on me every 30 seconds, get urine thrown on me every 50, have to fight.
Deal with the crazies.
So what happens to jail staff?
Yeah.
So now
Ding.
you've
They're
got
gone.
jail staff going, I make 15 an hour here and have to hose myself down before I walk in the house, or I can make 15 at Burger King. Which one, let's be honest, which one are you going to go for?
Yeah. It's going to be
So
Burger King.
they're going to have to jack up the pay for a line jailer at Ichapa County to be competitive.
Yeah.
That money doesn't grow on trees. Taxpayers pay that.
And the other
Oh, yeah.
problem is they won't do it for at least a year.
Yeah. Well, the budget for $20 an hour for line jailers comes from the taxpayers.
Yep.
You think that? Okay. So now you're making, yay, you work at Burger King. You're making $15 an hour. Congratulations. In Ichapa County, your taxes just went up.
Yep. Or how is Burger King going to be able to afford $15 an hour minimum wage unless they jack the prices up on things like a value menu to $5 a burger?
Yep.
That's what they're going to have to do.
They're going
Because-
to have to.
Everybody looks at Burger King and McDonald's and said, oh, it's a big corporation.
No.
It's a franchise.
Yep.
The corporation might pay the manager. The manager has to pay his staff from what the store makes.
Now,
Yep.
well, you got to understand. Franchises are local.
Right.
McDonald's takes $45,000 a year off the top,
From whatever's
Plus-
left.
plus 4.5% of the profits.
So
Whatever is left
is what they get to pay.
is what they have to pay the building, the lease, the insurance, the employees, etc.
It's why,
Budgets.
it's why when that kind of stuff happened it was as simple as the lease going up in Honolulu. Buffett walked away from the location he had in Waikiki, and he was doing very brisk business there. But when the lease doubled,
Mhm.
they walked.
Yeah.
They walked inside 6 months. And this was a place where he had a sold out venue anytime he showed up to do a concert. And that's absolutely deserved. But I look at it, if you wanted to actually boost the people like me who are doing a little bit better than minimum wage, all those of us that are down there at the struggling end of blue collar work, increase back the amount of hours that we can work. I can do a whole lot more with 14 extra hours on my time card per week than I can with an extra $4.40 I earn per hour.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you which one pays over the long run. And you know what? I don't mind working 39 hours in a week. I got no problem with that. if I was getting consistent hours like that, most of my family's finances would be pretty well taken care of.
Yeah, well, and there's some interesting points raised in the chat. Automation is going to be one thing.
Yep.
That's going to do away with entry level jobs in many cases.
I have friends who are in that industry.
Yeah.
And I've seen what work they've done.
Well, and that's become the driving
Yeah.
excuse behind we need universal basic income,
Yeah.
which is another really bad idea.
Because, actually improving the quality of scholarship in education is too much to ask for. Being honest with ourselves about, hey, maybe not colleges, but a trade school.
Yeah.
That kind of honesty hasn't existed since I was in high school or before. We had school counselors who would come in and preach about going to college.
You
We
need
never
college
heard
degree.
one about trade schools.
Yeah.
Because they're graded not by the actual test scores of the students alone, but by how many students they see graduate from a college.
Oh yeah, that's typical. Well, Chief brings up a good point. Nobody mentions that you get $15 an hour. That's by and large going to move you to a higher tax bracket.
Yep.
So that net $4 an hour or whatever is in reality going to be maybe $2 an hour, maybe $1.50 an hour.
And that's on federal income tax. Again, like I said, if your local government line people
Yeah.
aren't, that have to put up with a whole bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Are going to have to be competitive.
Yeah.
All that comes out of your local tax on top of
Exactly.
the income tax. Hey, congratulations, you're in a higher income tax bracket. You're paying more tax.
Yeah.
And you're also paying a tax so that you can have jailers in the
Yeah.
local jail.
And Jonna just said, if you work in Eugene, they're adding a income tax for the city of Eugene. Even if you don't live there, if you work there, you got to pay income tax in Eugene, Oregon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. People are wondering.
Bob. Oh, Bob, you are so dead on. Trade school is the garlic to the counselor's vampires.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
I look at what a good welder, not a specialized welder, but a welder with good solid welds
Yeah.
makes getting out of trade school.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's mind blowing.
And
Master electrician, RK said the master electrician is 6 digits.
a friend of mine moved to San Antonio. Yeah, San Antonio to do electrician's work. And electricians were in such high demand that somebody broke into his truck to steal his equipment for electrician out of his vehicle. They didn't take the truck. No, they took his freaking equipment.
Yeah.
Because it was that valuable.
Let's talk
Well, A&P. Bob's an A&P. They're making 6 figures a year.
I was talking to a welder in Wichita the other day, and he's a welder. He's not a specialized welder. He's not a high
Yeah. gas
gas welder or underwater, or he's just a standard box standard welder making 6 figures a year.
Yeah.
And he said he could. I asked him, why don't you go into Midland? Because Midland is desperate for welders right now. He said, they don't, it's not worth it for me. I said, how much are you making? And then he told me.
Mhm.
It's like, wait a minute,
Yeah. He's probably making 125,000, 150,000.
bingo.
Well, we all know a friend of ours who first went to trade school out of high school, got his trade as an electrician, and then went back and later got the college education as an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
There's a truth to that track because he was able to support himself and a family while doing this thing, and his employer was willing to give
Yeah.
some leeway so he could attend classes, and now he's doing great for himself.
Then trade schools, amazingly enough, a lot of people get out of trade school with a certificate or whatever and no debt,
Yeah,
which is these days that should be number one.
should be.
Yeah. Chief says he's been offered once he leaves the service 4 jobs in 3 states. Lowest is 28 an hour. Yeah. The other thing is tool theft. That is becoming a bigger and bigger issue
Oh yeah.
because of the cost of the tools, especially the specialized tools. And the electrician that did my rewire here
Mm-hmm.
keeps an old set of tools in his truck
To give them something to steal.
to give him something to steal.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
That is some third world bullshit. Right
Yeah,
there.
but you
Yep.
talk about welding. A nuclear welder
Oh Lord.
that is certified to work on submarines can easily make $250,000 a year with no overtime. With no overtime. And they have no debt.
Yeah.
The welder I was talking to that's making 120K a year.
Yeah.
Turns down overtime.
I've looked at that kind of work. Can't do it. Just head doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I did enough manual labor as a high schooler and before that. I have a healthy respect for it though.
Yeah.
And I understand why those men get paid the wages they do. I, from a very early age, was taught never look down on a man who works with his hands because guess what? His house didn't come together on its own.
If I wasn't so beat up, there was an ad Saturday or Sunday. There was an ad on Facebook, desperate for a cowboy
Good.
up in Montana.
Yeah.
And the pay was,
Yeah, I saw that.
really good, but I hurt too much.
And it's Montana and it's cold.
I
And I ain't
bet.
doing that shit.
Well, if I didn't hurt so bad, because it's the lodging's free, food's free, and it was a really good paycheck on top of all that. Plus, it was 12 miles from the paved road, which sounds really good.
But it was Montana and it's cold. I ain't
It's
doing
12 miles from a paved road.
it. I know that.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, Chief.
It's Montana. After living in northern Utah, I have no interest living any latitude north of about central Utah. No, thank you.
Chief
Unless I'm making six figures.
puts up another good one, the lineman,
Oh yeah.
power company lineman. The kids that live across the street from my youngest daughter up in Kelseyville, California, that's what he does. And he makes good money. And when they roll him on an emergency, he gets real good.
Mhm.
He's up to about $70 or $80 an hour. And it's a 4-hour minimum.
I was talking to a mutual friend of ours a couple weeks ago out in East Texas. You know how much FEMA is paying nurses under FEMA pay right now? $120 an hour.
Oh, yeah. Chief says, show me that job listing and he'll take the job tonight.
I'd have to find it again. It's 12, it's 12 miles. I didn't say 12 miles from civilization. It's 12 miles from nearest paved road.
Yeah.
And it was like 78K,
Yeah.
and food was provided, lodging was provided, and you had a small herd to look after.
I can
What
recall
they
losing.
didn't tell you was it probably a damn line camp.
Oh, I would guarantee it was a line
Yeah,
camp.
but you know what kind of line camp I'm thinking.
Yeah, I
about.
know exactly. It's still okay.
I seem to recall something in Louis L'Amour novels about good cowboys earning about 40 a month.
30 a month and
30
found.
months, 30 months and found.
Come a
Which
long way since 30 a month and found.
was really good in the 1880s.
Yeah.
That was $1 a day plus food and basically benefits.
And, everything was cheap.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
Part of your benefits is get to fight Comanches.
I remember
Well-
that good pistol was $2.
a good pistol was $2.
Good Colt was $2. 2 days. Could you buy a good gun for 2 days' wages right now?
Oh, hell no.
There you go.
Not unless I'm robbing banks in Hollywood.
It's not good wages.
Lard was 5 or 6 cents a pound.
5 or 6 cents a 5-pound tub, wasn't it?
Might have been a 5-pound ton. No, I think it was 5. It was either 5 or 6 cents a pound.
Hmm.
Flour was something like pennies
I
for
remember my
pounds.
granddad telling me about movies, popcorn, and drink for either a dime or 20 or a quarter.
Yeah.
I forget which. Anyway,
Yeah, I can remember going to the movies and it was a quarter. And that was in the 50s.
but no, I was looking at that. And one, I couldn't get Rita.
No,
Rita is not going to live 12 miles from Nurse Bay Road.
no. She's no. Her case says, does the applicant have to provide their own horse? Don't remember. Probably not.
No, there was a Redondo provided.
Oh, wow.
Most ranches do.
Your own hog leg, on the other hand, yes, you'd provide that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the dollar went a lot further back then, Bob, no question.
78K to live probably 40 miles from the nearest town in the quiet.
Yeah.
I have to say, Sounds really, really fucking good.
I looked, my dad is a district field gauger, petroleum engineering in the 1930s. Made $2,300 a year.
Well,
That may not seem like much, but when I looked at the census records, in the 4 pages I looked at, he was the highest paid one of the 4 pages.
my grandparents' house in Electra is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, really decent square footage. I think they paid $6,000 for it.
Yeah.
When they bought it.
Oh, yeah. But I remember looking through those pages of that census book, and the average income in the 1930s was around $500 a year.
Hmm.
You know, and you translate that to today, and it's not going to be that much. It might be $35,000, $40,000,
Still average income.
but that's average income. Yeah. Gold standard. Yeah, Johnny, you're dead on. The gold standard made a huge difference with money, because back then everything was on the gold standard. And we've wasted another hour of your time today.
Oh, we have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, we have.
Well, thank all of you for chiming in. Y'all make the discussion.
Remember, guys, tell your kith and kin, your family and friends, to stay the hell out of any capital, any state
Yes.
capital, the nation's capital. If they decide they're heading there, tell them to stop.
Yeah.
Turn off your TV and don't watch the inauguration.
Yeah.
And channel your anger into constructive. Let's make the Democrats eat crow in 2022. Okay, we
Yeah.
can do this.
Make them have to put up with everything that they've created.
Don't give the mainstream media the blood and circuses they're looking for.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for blood and circuses in DC so they can wave at how bad we are.
Yep. So don't do it. Stay safe.
Tell everybody, not just don't tell everybody. If you have social media, tell everybody, stay the hell out of DC.
Yep. Stay out.
Pass the word as far as you can. If you're there, get the hell out.
Yep. All right, folks, take care. Remember, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. And turn your TV off on Wednesday.
Be safe, guys.
Bye.